This is the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Caddles.
Okay, so let's talk about Drake Maye and his readiness. And I guess we can start with the decision. I don't like how it went down. Does that mean that this is a bad decision? No, I'm not. No. It really is. I think that he was going to play at some point, and from everything I've heard, from everything we've heard, the kid has been a quick learner. Now, I will point out that I think Gerard Mayo. So, I said I think it was like a week ago that I heard from people inside the building that they thought Drake Maye was a little bit more of a ways off than I think it was after the 49ers game. People were like, oh, well, we need to start him. Of course, this has been an every week thing, just about, certainly since the Jets game. And I was told that he wasn't quite ready, that there were some operation issues, just the basics of operating the system that deemed him not quite ready. Now, in terms of when he would be ready, I have no clue. But Mayo sort of addressed this today when he said, where have you seen Drake's biggest growth this season over the last 5 weeks? Mayo said, just operating the huddle. I think it starts right there. Getting the call, getting in the huddle, getting out of the huddle, going out there and executing the play. That's kind of what I was talking about. Sounds like he's improved in that area, at least enough where the coaches are like, okay, he's at an acceptable place right now. We'll have to take their word for it. We shall see. So they're starting Drake Maye. I think that I have no prediction on what he's going to do. I have no clue whether he's ready or not. What I do know is that, and this is similar to what we saw in the preseason and what we talked about, and even the Jets game when he appeared, Drake Maye is a very good athlete, and with a very big arm, and he can really run. So because of that, he's going to make some splash plays in every game. It's the other plays that you worry about. Is there going to be consistency? Is he going to read things out right? Is he going to get confused by anything that he says? People are looking to Drake Maye to elevate a Patriots operation that isn't great. I would say the coaching isn't great on the offensive side of the ball. The offensive line we know is shaky, and the weapons aren't great, and they're young and kind of raw. Pretty much similar to where he was at North Carolina a year ago with offensive coordinator change that was not good, made it a mess. The offensive line was kind of a mess. His receivers, he didn't have his top receivers, Vontaze Walker or whatever his name is, had to deal with eligibility issues. He had lost some guys in the draft. So, to me, it's a very similar situation that Drake Maye's walking into with the Patriots, similar to his last year at UNC. The good part about that is this is not a quarterback who needs everything perfect to operate, and he's not used to that. He's never really had that, so that's good. He's used to what he's going to encounter with the Patriots. As opposed to, say, Mac Jones, who probably needed a little bit more of like perfect situations. Drake Maye doesn't need that. Now, that being said, Drake Maye wasn't great his last season at North Carolina. So you can't say like Patriots fans are hoping Drake Maye's going to elevate a suboptimal operation. Drake Maye didn't elevate a suboptimal operation at UNC. Now, he's a year older. He's around professional players. He's around professional coaches. Can that also help him? Yeah, absolutely. But, you just worry about the consistency. And I don't really look, they made their decision. the coaches know better. I have no clue what he's doing on the practice field. And I don't really believe any reports about these guys or these players are saying this and these coaches are saying that. It's practice. I've talked to enough NFL coaches and certainly a lot lately, asking them about, what do you think about this and that? And they're just like, practice doesn't matter. I mean, what if somebody's doing something well in practice when they're not really in pads and things like that? And this goes to the preseason with Drake Maye. Drake Maye was a 7-on-7 Hall of Famer. When the pass rush and the pads went on, that's when he struggled a bit more. But I look, they made their decision. I expect him to struggle. I expect him to bring a lift for a game or two. I would expect that. And I think he'll make enough plays that I think will certainly make the Patriots more entertaining and fun to watch. I don't care if he throws I don't care about turnovers. I don't care about sacks. I just want to see him get out there and get experience and get after an adjustment period. I want to see him start to get incrementally better as the season goes along. And I have hopes for that. I have high hopes for that. As far as the Texans this week, a lot is going to be made about their pass rush, which is really good. I was just watching some of their film. I will say they are really fast on film. I think that's going to be a bit of a shock for Drake Maye. I think that was a little bit of a shock against the Jets. You also have to remember, so, he's doing quote unquote great in practice. That's against a Patriots defense. Yes, they show a variety of things, not as much as they used to, not as much as you would have seen in the summer. I think injuries are partly to do with that. But we're also talking about a very slow Patriots defense that has gotten slower by the week with the injuries to, Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers situation, Juwan Bentley, all that stuff. So I think from what I've seen on film so far of the Texans, I think that Drake Maye is going to have to gear up his speed to be ready for this. And I think it's a situation, it's incumbent upon Alex Van Pelt to figure out a way to get his feet wet in the game and not to put too much on him early and let him get adjusted to the speed and then sort of go from there. And, when you're dealing with these young quarterbacks, something else that is incumbent on Alex Van Pelt, who I haven't been enamored with so far, watching his scheme and certainly the execution of the scheme by the Patriots. There were some route issues in this past game, which weren't great, and I think led to some poor plays by Jacoby Brissett. It's incumbent upon Alex Van Pelt he needs to determine what Drake Maye can and can't do right now. And he needs to, I don't care if it's simple. I don't care if they have, 5 to 7 plays that that he can execute. You can dress him up in different ways and you can get to him different ways, but fundamentally they're the same type of plays. And Alex Van Pelt is going to have to figure that out and put Drake Maye in those situations. And I don't care if they have to do it the whole game against the Texans. I don't care if the Texans get it figured out. But what you can't do is all of a sudden get into a game and put Drake Maye in a position where he's uncomfortable with the play calls, that he's not used to them. So, you'll also often hear, I heard Josh McDaniels talking about this on Julian Edelman's podcast when he was asked a little bit about Drake Maye, and he talks about like buckets, and when you're a young quarterback, you're dealing with young quarterbacks, that bucket's pretty small. It's like a coffee cup size, but you got to figure out what's in their bucket and stay there, and then you slowly expand it as you go along. So I would look for the Patriots to do that. I think they're going to take advantage of his legs. I do think that's an advantage for them, especially, these defenses could blitz and tee off on Jacoby Brissett because they knew where he was going to be. And he couldn't really elude anybody, even though he thinks he can. Drake Maye is a different beast. He'll be able to get to the outside on some guys. He'll be able to make some plays with his legs. One thing from watching the Bills Texans game, and remember this Texans defense made Josh Allen go 9 of 30. So basically, if Drake Maye can do anything better than that, that's pretty good. Of course, the Texans were getting geared up for the Bills. I don't know how much they're going to be geared up for this. But I will say one thing going against Drake Maye and the Patriots in this matchup against the Texans is they just faced Josh Allen, who, look, Drake Maye's not Josh Allen. You're hopeful he's going to be hopefully Josh Allen light when he's a little bit more developed. But the Texans clearly had a plan, a lot of spying, how they rushed Josh Allen, where they worried about his athletic ability. So they just came off learning that, executing that in a game to a high level, and I assume they're going to use the same sort of plan. They'll probably just move it over to this week, and that makes it a little bit less likely that Drake Maye is going to be able to use his legs effectively in this game, but it's part of what he does. It's definitely in his bucket at this point, so I still expect him to do that.
Support us and sign up at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the app today and use code CLNS at prizepicks.com/CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5.